Imagine getting sued by a homeowners association for a home that isn't even part of their community. That's exactly what happened to me. HOA Karen marched into court, papers in hand, screaming that I owed dues and violated neighborhood rules. 3 minutes later, the judge realized what I already knew. I don't live under their HOA. And when the truth came out, that same courtroom became the stage where I ended their entire empire, legally and for good. It started with a letter. Thick envelope, fancy HOA letterhead, my name in bold. I almost tossed it in the trash. Spam, I figured. But curiosity got me. Inside, notice of violation. The charges? Grass height, shed color, unapproved vehicle on driveway. I laughed out loud. My ranch sat a mile outside Willow Glen HOA borders. I had county records, maps, and survey lines proving it. Their jurisdiction ended long before my property began. I crumpled the notice, tossed it on the counter, and went about my day. But Karen doesn't take silence well. By the second week, the letters turned into threats. By the third, a summons. Yep, HOA Karen had actually filed a lawsuit, dragging me to court for violating HOA bylaws. The courthouse smelled like old wood and tension. Karen strutted in with 2 board members flanking her like bodyguards. She wore a pastel blazer so bright it could blind, clutching a stack of binders thicker than law books. When the judge entered, she leapt up. "Your Honor, this man has been freeloading for years. He enjoys our amenities, our roads, our community standards, but refuses to pay dues." I didn't even flinch. Instead, I handed the judge a slim folder, 1 page inside. The deed to my land, stamped, signed, recorded 30 years before Willow Glen HOA was even created. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Mrs. Barnes, are you aware Mr. Carter's property lies outside HOA jurisdiction?" Karen blinked. "That can't be right. He uses our roads. He... The judge tapped the map. "The HOA has no authority here. This lawsuit is baseless. Case dismissed." 3 minutes. That's all it took. Karen's face turned the color of week-old ketchup. But me, I wasn't done. See, most folks would have walked away. Case closed, victory in hand. Not me. Because during my prep, I'd done some digging. HOA financials, county water rights, zoning exemptions. And what I found? The HOA had been operating illegally for years, charging fees they had no right to, fining folks without proper authority, even misusing community funds for personal expenses. Karen's SUV lease paid out of the HOA's beautification budget. Greg's backyard pool? Emergency repair funds. They weren't just annoying neighbors with clipboards. They were running a racket, and with one motion, I could bring it all down. The day after court, Karen stormed down my driveway, face twisted with fury. "You embarrassed me! You think you're clever? This isn't over." I leaned against my truck, calm as stone. "Oh, it's over, Karen. You just don't know it yet." She jabbed a manicured finger at me. "You'll regret crossing the HOA." I almost laughed. "Funny, you're about to regret creating it." Her confusion was almost sweet, because what she didn't realize was that I had already scheduled a hearing with the county board, the very people with power to revoke Willow Glen HOA's charter. The county board hearing was set for a Wednesday morning. Most people thought it would be routine, maybe a zoning dispute, a property setback, something minor. Nobody expected the showdown between one stubborn rancher and the most notorious HOA in Willow Glen. But by the time I walked in, the room was packed. Residents crammed into folding chairs, reporters buzzing with cameras, even a few lawyers hoping to catch the drama. And right there in the front row, in her pastel blazer like it was armor, sat Karen, clipboard in hand, lips pursed. She thought she was ready. She had no idea what was coming. When my name was called, I stood before the board with a calm smile. "Good morning, gentlemen. I'm here to present evidence that Willow Glen HOA has been acting outside the law for years. Their president, Mrs. Barnes, recently sued me despite my property never falling under their jurisdiction. That case was dismissed in 3 minutes. But what I found while preparing for that case is much bigger than me." I handed over a thick binder. Inside, financial statements, forged invoices, property tax mismatches, and, most damning of all, personal expenses filed as community projects. Karen's SUV lease paid out of the HOA's beautification budget. Greg's backyard pool, emergency repair funds. They weren't just annoying neighbors with clipboards. They were running a racket, and with one motion, I could bring it all down. When my name was called, I stood before the board with a calm smile. "Good morning, gentlemen. I'm here to present evidence that Willow Glen HOA has been acting outside the law for years. Their president, Mrs. Barnes, recently sued me despite my property never falling under their jurisdiction. That case was dismissed in 3 minutes. But what I found while preparing for that case is much bigger than me." I handed over a thick binder. Inside, financial statements, forged invoices, property tax mismatches, and, most damning of all, personal expenses filed as community projects. The board members flipped through the pages, their eyes widening. "Mrs. Barnes, do you have a response?" Karen stood, her voice shrill. "This is nonsense. He's twisting paperwork. Everyone here knows he freeloads using our amenities, refusing to pay his dues." I raised a hand. "Objection. My land was recorded 30 years before Willow Glen HOA even existed. I have never signed nor agreed to any HOA contract. The only freeloading here is Mrs. Barnes charging her neighbors for her personal vacations." Gasps filled the room. Karen's face twitched. As the board pressed her with questions, Karen's composure cracked. She shouted over them, jabbing her finger at me. "He's lying! He's a manipulator! He's trying to destroy me because he hates order! He's jealous of our community!" But the neighbors in the back weren't nodding. They were whispering, then murmuring, then flat out yelling. "Wait, you raised our dues for a clubhouse roof that never got fixed! And you fined me $500 for parking in my own driveway! My landscaping fees doubled last year! Where did that money go?" The room turned hostile, not toward me, but toward her. Karen tried to scream over the noise. "This is my HOA! I make the rules!" That's when the county chair cut her off. His gavel slammed like thunder. "Mrs. Barnes, sit down. Effective immediately, Willow Glen HOA's charter is revoked. The association is dissolved, pending criminal investigation into its financial practices." The roar of cheers drowned her out as she shrieked. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. The sight of Karen being escorted out, clipboard clutched like a lifeline, was enough. Word spread like wildfire. By evening, Willow Glen HOA was no more. Residents tore down the stupid approved mailbox designs. They repainted their houses any color they wanted. Lawn signs popped up like flowers. Free at last. Me? I sat on my porch, sipping coffee, watching the sunset. I'd only wanted to be left alone. But now, I'd given an entire neighborhood their freedom back. Funny how one bogus lawsuit turned into the end of Karen's empire. Of course, Karen didn't give up quietly. 2 days later, she tried staging a protest on my ranch road. Half a dozen loyalists with picket signs. They shouted about justice and tyranny. But when the sheriff pulled up with paperwork in hand, Karen's face went pale. Fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion. Charges stacked higher than her clipboard. She was shoved into the back of a cruiser while her little army scattered like scared chickens. 3 minutes in a courtroom started it. But the truth ended it. Karen tried to sue me for not being part of her HOA. Instead, I ended her HOA completely. And now every time I drive past Willow Glen, I see families finally free, painting, building, planting, laughing. No more fines, no more threats, no more Karen.